What's up, YouTube? Here today to talk to you about the Magma RDA by Paradigm. Actually, this is by Infinite, but yeah, another clone. Oh well. This is made by Infinite, and it is a replica of the, I don't know what you want to call it, the dripper that kind of changed the game for flavor. And I'm quite happy with it so far. I've had it for about 2 weeks, and it works pretty good. It puts out, so flavor of this thing is amazing. I'm sure if one of these days I feel adventurous and try and find a way to use some mesh wick in this, that would enhance it even more. But until then, this is a flavor chaser's dream right here. So anyhow, without any more ado, let's go down up close and take a look at it, and we'll throw a build on it, and then we'll go back up and we'll talk about it a bit more. So this is the up close and personal look of the Magma by Infinite. And first thing to note is your little bag. You get a flathead screwdriver with this one. It's got a flathead screw system on it instead of your typical Phillips. And you get 2 pre-built coils on silica wick. You do not get any O-rings for this, simply because this dripper does not use any O-rings. So first let's take a look at the outside. It's got really nice engravings, nice and deep. You got Paradigm on one side and Magma on the other, and you'll also notice all these different airflow control options. And it's basically just, even though it looks like a shit ton of them, it's basically just 3 different options for either single or dual coil. So to take a look under the hood, this is a really thick barrel or top cap, whatever you want to call it, but it does just screw down, so there's no snapping it into place. You don't need any O-rings, you just snug it down and away you go. This is your top cap. This airflow control ring comes off, and again, when you want it in dual coil mode, you're just going to take it so that your holes line up, and then that way you can have it for dual coil. I don't know if you can see, it's hard for me to see from here if I got the right angle or not, but otherwise there's another set of 3 holes, and they are blocked off on the back side, and those work for your single coils. Now for your actual bottom deck of this, you have an air hole on each side, and it kind of works reminiscent to a K-fun almost, where the air goes in the hole and then comes up through the bottom, hitting the coil from the bottom. And I'm assuming that's how we get such amazing flavor off of these things. But the posts on it have decent size holes, so you can run some pretty thick wires through there if you're one of those adventurous coil builders. And it's got a very deep drip well, and your insulator is isolated way down at the bottom, where you're going to have a real hard time melting it. Nothing on the bottom there. You do have a stainless steel contact, and it is insulated. But that's pretty much it for what I've found on it. This is a 22mm device, so it's going to fit flush on all your 22mm mods, with bearing in mind the fact that this airflow control ring does stick out a little bit, but that's okay. So anyhow, I'm going to throw a build onto this. This is actually very easy to build on. And talk about some of the things that I like, and I'll really have to rack my brain for things that I don't like so much. This is a pretty decent little atomizer. So there we go, two microcoils. They're not the prettiest ones. We'll tidy them up a bit once we get them on. And the idea with this is you do want the air coils just about as close to right over top of the holes as you can get them. I'm sure it'll still work if they're not totally centered. This device is pretty easy to go and build on, so why not shoot for perfection? Actually, I'm gonna have to readjust these now that I've tightened those up. Actually, hang on for 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Got a second screwdriver to try and make life a little bit easier here. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry about the edit. I just didn't feel like subjecting you guys to sitting there watching me wiggle these things into place. So I've got them in place. I have clipped off my leads. I'm going to check my resistance. 0.51. That's a little lower than I want it to be, but that will still work just fine. So now I'm going to go ahead and throw this onto a mod. I'm just going to pulse them, get them glowing hot, and we'll give them a little squeeze. I think I'm pretty well satisfied with this. Just kind of straighten them out a bit. Okay. Let's see if I can zoom this out a bit. No. We're backed off as far as we can go. Okay. Now, I've seen many people wick these things with a very small piece of cotton. And I'm not saying that they do it the wrong way, because if it works for you, there is really no wrong way. But I'm seeing people cutting cotton so short that it barely sticks down into the drip well, and I don't quite understand the reasoning for that, because that pretty much eliminates the whole point of having a really deep drip well. So the way I've been doing it is making them long enough so that they touch all the way down into the bottom, and then that way when I decide I want to put in their advertised 40 drops that you can put in there, you can actually wick it all up. But that's just a personal preference, and how you wick this is entirely up to you. Everybody's different. Actually, I could use a bit more cotton on this side. That was pretty thin. Okay. Now I'll just take some juice. And this should be what your finished product will look something like. Now just fill this baby up. Okay, let's take this back up and we'll talk about it and vape on it a little bit. So there it was, folks, the Magma by Infinite. Overall, this thing's pretty nice looking device. Got a lot of nice looking RBAs coming out these days. This one didn't come with a drip tip, but that's totally okay by me. It's pretty tall. It's a fair size dripper. I like it because you can, because the machining on it, the metal is just so thick the way they made it. You can hit on it for a long time before it really starts to warm up. So that's a really nice bonus to it. As far as pros and cons, my first pro is going to be having no no O-rings on this thing. It's just real nice. You don't have to worry because, you know, a lot of drippers, when the O-rings fit on tight and you pull your top cap off and you put it on and do it constantly every day, after a while those O-rings wear down and you start getting the little black chunkies that come off of it. And yeah, this thing, there's none of that going on, so that's definitely a nice big bonus for me. The engravings on it are really nice and deep. I don't know how well you can see it on camera, but they are really good, nice deep engravings, so kudos for that. And just the overall performance of this thing, I mean, the flavor you get off this thing it's way up there. It's top notch. Like, it's got to be at the top of the list for performers. So yeah, those would be my three main pros, and I can only really think of one con, and that is that when you're dripping in this, if you just pull your drip tip off and drip 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 and away you go, until you've really been using this thing for a while and you can tell, okay, I'm about to get a dry hit, because it holds so much. if you don't know how much is in there and you just try and drip it straight in, what I find ends up happening is, first of all, you have to put in 6 or 7 drops because you're dripping through the drip tip, and it's all going to pool right in there. And if you put in 6 or 7 drops and then wait a few seconds, what happens is it all ends up soaking down into the sides as well. But if you just keep dripping, drip, 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 and you try and put in 20 or 30 drops, what ends up happening is it doesn't soak through the wicks fast enough and get out to the sides, and you end up filling the centerpiece up here to the point where it overflows and it goes down those air holes, and then you have juice leaking out the sides. So I find it much easier to just, when in doubt, unscrew your top cap for the extra half a second it takes, and you can just drip it in everywhere you want it to accordingly and get it nice and full without overflowing it, and you're off to the races. So that would be my only real con. It's not so much a con, it's just a matter of getting to know the device and how much it can hold. So I will say they advertise you can put 40 drops in it. I haven't come anywhere close to that without overflowing it, but they also said that was a higher PG juice, like 50-50 and more so for PG. I generally don't vape any juices that are more than like 75% VG, so very low PG. So that could just be the issue I'm having with the juices that I use, but overall this is still a rock solid device, and I would highly recommend buying one. So yeah, it's 30 bucks or 25 bucks, whatever it was, well spent. And yeah, anyhow, other than that, I think I'm going to stop ranting about this thing, and I'll let you guys get back to your weekend. So until then, or sorry, until I upload the next video, until then, play safe and vape on.